Okay, I've got a question. What do the North Star, Little League Baseball, and cinnamon rolls have in common?
Well, somehow, believe it or not, they are key plot points in 2014's The Christmas Secret. We've got a lot to talk about, Josh.
We do, Jennifer, and we'll unwrap it all on this episode of Do You Watch What I Watch? So curtain up here, and we're in yet another idyllic town gussied up for Christmas. The music is wistful, American flags are flying, children are joyfully playing, and our female lead, her name is Christine, she is decked out for her job as a waitress. She, however, is mega stressed. It is almost time for school. Her daughter Haley is pretending to be a bird, and her son Zach is struggling with math. A neighbor weirdly kind of mean mugs all of them as they rush to the car, which promptly, as you can imagine, breaks down for a second until some positive juju gets everything going for them. So Christine is rushing to get to work. She gets zero empathy from her jerk of a boss at the diner. So cut to Marshall.
Yeah, this was evidently not her first rodeo in being late or very not dependable as an employee.
Yes, because she's got a lot going on, which they're trying to establish right out of the gate.
She's a stressed out single mom. She's broke as a joke. There's just a lot going on. The stakes are high here.
The stakes are immediately high. Cut to Marshall. He is a playful grandpa type who is playing with sporting goods in a cute shop down the street from the diner. His wife wants to update the store and references a guy named Jason, who apparently is Marshall's grandson, who's got a quote-unquote big shot Wall Street job and is on his way home to town. Christine's landlord shows up at their really cute little house that they live in this small town. She's late on her rent, so again, more drama with Christine, and it being almost Christmas is really not enough to buy her some time with the landlord. It gets worse.
Yeah, she's facing eviction.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the big letter on the door is just not Santa's letter. No.
No, not a nice note from Santa. It is a naughty note from her landlord. It gets worse for Christine. The babysitter didn't show. Instead, her kid's father is there. So her ex-husband, it is super frosty between the two of them. By the way, he looks way too young to have kids as old as these kids are in this movie, I thought.
Well, she was young too. Yeah, that you got to suspend some belief there. But I thought he came across so creepy and villainous.
Yes.
Immediately.
Well, they didn't want you to like him. Yeah, that was clear. No. Yeah. So it's been a very bad day for Christine. She is brushing her hair later that night by herself, and she picks up a compass. And we get a flashback. It is a gift from her father, we learn, and a reminder to always follow the North Star because, quote unquote, as long as it's shining, there's hope. So we are leaning into hope as a theme here in this one. So next day, Jason arrives to town. Turns out he has just lost his job, however, so whoops. And in spite of his impending job search, he agrees to help around the store, which I thought the store was this quintessential, cute, small town sporting goods shop. What'd you think?
It was adorable. Yeah. And love that. Marshall, he's all over the place. He's a total hot mess, the grandpa. He's just like too worried about sticky buns from townies to really have like a business mindset. He's more heart than business. And his wife is like, yo, you got to get this stuff together, man, because the business needs businessing.
Business needs businessing. We cut to Christine. She's just driving around town when she witnesses a car crash. What?
It's out of nowhere. Shocking, I tell you.
Shocking. Turns out it is Jason's step-grandma. So it is Marshall's wife behind the wheel. She is unresponsive following a heart attack. And this gets very dramatic in a hurry and may very well be the first and the only time you'll ever see CPR being administered in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot. They don't do that anymore. Yeah.
No. Saving a life makes her late for work, and her boss is truly awful about the whole thing and fires her on the spot. She leaves the diner and she bumps into Jason. And if you're thinking this is the meet cute, it's not. She doesn't chat with him because she realizes she lost her special locket, the one that had the compass on it, And as if it couldn't get any worse, a frosty family services lady just happens to be there to tell her that she might lose her kids now because their father has petitioned the court for custody. It is at this point, Jennifer, that I push pause on the movie. And yes, we are only 16 minutes into this movie. Can you say whiplash?
My goodness. Christina's having the definition of the terrible, no good, very bad day, like that book. I mean, it is like alarming the amount of thing after thing after thing. This is not when it rains, it pours. It's like a friggin' monsoon in Christine's world. And she, I guess, she handles it better than I would. She's just marching forward. She's like, okay, another thing, let's keep going and see what else this day has in store. I had to laugh just to go back to the heart attack scene, though, because they cut to, and you know she's going to be okay. They're like taking the step-grandmother to the hospital, but she's like aware and whatever. And somebody says, did she have a heart attack? And the EMT all too happily says, she did. Like, yeah, got one of those on my docket today.
Nailed it.
Check. Ooh, heart attack. It was just, the tone of the movie was pretty low-key, but that one moment I was just like, I don't know that that's the line delivery I would have gone for.
Maybe dial that energy back just a
Did.
scotch.
It was great.
Yeah.
Love a heart attack. She did. Yeah.
Speaking of, we're now at the hospital where Judy, she's the woman who had the heart attack, is there. The CPR saved her life, so Christine is a heroine. Judy remembers who saved her, and Jason is now off to find her because Judy is all kinds of appreciative and wants to meet the woman who saved her life. So he stops by the diner, but Christine's old boss is a total jerk and for some reason doesn't acknowledge that he fired a woman named Christine just earlier in the day.
Yeah, had we already forgotten her? He's like, nobody by that name works here.
Anyway.
Well, but like you said, the beginning of the shift, she did. She's still on your like tax documents. You're gonna have to send her a W-9 or whatever, W-2, whatever the W numbers are. Weird.
It was a choice. Meantime, Christine stops by Betty's bakery. Now, Betty is the woman who makes the cinnamon rolls that drive Marshall crazy. So she's apparently a character in town and a lovely woman. She is a delight. She hears just a little bit of Christine's story and she decides to offer her a job on the spot. So things are immediately looking up for our sweet Christine. So there you go.
Yeah, Betty's the best. That's what I wrote down.
Betty is the best. I agree. Family services lady. I never get her name, so I just call her FSL throughout the whole thing. She's trying to be really helpful and she lets Christine know she believes in miracles, which is sort of nice, I think. Still, Christine is a little bit uncertain and a bit sad about how things are shaping up, as you might expect, for her ahead of the holiday season. Next day, Jason is at his grandpa's shop and he gets a job prospect phone call from the big city. So he pops out to the street, sees Christine. Now, this is his third such run-in with Christine, and he is sort of curious about her. I think he sort of had a little love at first sight kind of thing going on with her. He has a new job prospect, and Grandpa tells him to get some fresh air and a cinnamon roll. Here we go again to think about it. So Jason is off to Betty's. We get our meet cute, except it's not quite a meet cute because Betty has given Christine another waitress's apron. So it has a different name tag on it. And Christine, meantime, thinks that Jason is a private investigator who's been hired by her ex-husband to track her and get dirt on her for the custody thing that's going on. This is a tangled web.
It is a big fat oopsie doodle. Like it's like a sun oopsie doodle in the middle. It has rays shooting out of it. Every little phalange.
Pew, pew, pew.
Or octopus with a bunch of legs. Yeah, lots of oopsie doodles happening within the oopsie doodle.
Lots
Oopsie doodle.
of stuff going on. Back at the hospital, Judy is super grouchy about her new heart-healthy diet and wants Jason to basically run the store and find Christine. We get another Main Street run-in between these two, and they're both mildly flirty with one another at this point. Christine's kids pop into the shop meantime, and Jason is cute with both of them. Again, he doesn't know that they are her kids. He plays catch with Zach. Turns out that Jason used to play baseball in high school, and he tells Gramps he needs a website for the store. So Jason's trying to do some things to up the ante for the shop. Betty, meantime, again, the baker, and Christine, they unpack a little bit of her story. It turns out she never knew her father, not even his name. and they wound up in this idyllic town in the wake of her recent divorce. Life gets tougher for our dear Christine when she gets home and finds that eviction notice that Jennifer mentioned a little bit earlier. Poor, I mean, I legitimately felt sad for the woman in that moment because I can't even imagine.
No, it's terrible. And right before the holidays, forget it. Scrooge. Yeah. Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck. Jason pops by the bakery. He's flirty about his sweet tooth, and he's clearly a little bit of a hashtag smitten kitten at this point. He gives her some advice about knowing customers and their high school sports stats. She's ... unconvinced about that. Zag stops by the shop and lets Jason know that they're being evicted, which seems like a bit of a thing that's kind of crazy to drop. But
Jack latches on to him very quickly as like a pseudo father figure and was like, Daddy. I mean, he didn't say daddy, but he may as well have.
I had to laugh in this moment because, you know, this kid comes into a store and he says, hey, I've been evicted. If you're running the store and you feel like you need to do something, what do? You might, you know, let me go see if I can help somebody. And that's what Jason does. But instead of coming back with a wad of cash, he comes back with a baseball and says, let's go talk about pitching. And I thought, just maybe a little tone deaf. I don't know. But
well, I guess Jason didn't really have any stakes in the company at this point. It wasn't his business. And he's, you know, without a job himself. He's broke. Evidently, everybody's broke in this movie. And so he's like, I can give him the one thing I'm good at. And that was baseball. Come on, Sonny.
That kind of guy. Heart of gold.
I guess so. Yeah, sure.
Jason helps Christine with her lemon of a car, and she winds up apologizing for being a little bit mean to him, thinking that he was a private investigator. He gets flirty.
She's wrong about that, obviously. That was, yeah. Her crazy ex-husband has no money. He has no money for child support. I don't know how he thinks he has money to hire an attorney to get custody. He certainly would have money for a private investigator. The dude's the worst off of the bunch.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. He gets flirty after diagnosing her as being, quote, out of gas and offers her a ride to get a few gallons of gas. So he spots the North Star off in the distance. And here we go again with this talk about the North Star. And she lets on that she has a story about the North Star, too. They're going to grab a cup of coffee. Now, pause that story plot, because back at the house, a sassy teenager is kind of halfway babysitting, like literally just playing on her phone, Christine's kids. Now, her daughter, again, pretending to be a bird, she climbs up on the railing on the front porch and she flings herself off the porch and she's suddenly rendered unconscious. And this becomes the most bonkers of a beam up. And if you're new to the podcast, beam up stands for brief moment of peril, because literally think like this 7-year-old, you're seeing her climb up the railing.
And you can see the background.
Cut to the living room. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we hear her, wow, she screams. And then they all run outside and the 7-year-old is flat out unconscious. I mean, I got to think she only fell like 8 feet, but for some reason she's unconscious.
Only 8 feet?
I don't know.
On concrete? Well, as a child, I would be in a bad way. If I trip over, you know, the end of my bed, I'd have a bad day or maybe bad week. Only 8 feet, Josh? As a child?
Yeah, I don't know.
Significant.
Tough it up.
The way I gasped, okay, I've seen this movie before. I've seen it once, like a couple years ago. And I still forgot about that part. You know, when it came on, I was like, no, get down. Don't be a bird. Don't be a bird.
Well, now you're a mother twice over, so you're
just my motherly instincts kicked in. No, it makes me think I'm right. Every time I tell my kid to stop jumping on stuff, get down from there. You don't want to end up like Haley, only falling 8 feet to a near death on concrete.
So the incident itself was totally bonkers, but even more bonkers, out of nowhere, the side-eye neighbor, the weird neighbor we saw earlier on, she's there in mere seconds somehow, and she's calling for a blanket and an ambulance. And I thought, oh, okay, that's exactly what we need in this moment. Anywho, in the aftermath,
she fell 8 feet.
Okay,
you wouldn't call an ambulance?
I guess not. I don't know.
My gosh. No, the neighbor gave me vibes. I couldn't pinpoint it at the time, but it was like the creepy male neighbor on Home Alone, you know, that they're all they gave him a name.
I was going to say.
Yeah, what's his name?
I forget, but I was going to say, she reminded me of that neighbor from Home Alone and also the woman from Home Alone 2. So sort of like the weirdo person that they realize is not weirdo and actually...
They're actually like your secret guardian angel because things are running amok in these houses. And they're like, somebody's got to watch after these kids. And she was on the jump whenever Haley went plummeting to near death, 8 feet.
Anywho, in the aftermath of this beam off, we learned Christine didn't show up for her coffee date with Jason because she had to jet off to the hospital, obviously. Side-Eye is, in fact, a woman named Dolly and a retired nurse, so she knew what she was talking about, apparently. And she is sweet, not creepy. Yay. I'm glad to hear that. Christine...
She kind of has this moment of like, I'm sorry I came across creepy, but... Yeah. I mean, she doesn't say that exactly, but like, hey, I'm just a little, more quiet. But every time Christine's not there, every time the children are alone, I watch them because, AKA, you're not holding it down, lady. So I'm like stepping in from across the street.
Again, guardian
That would
angel.
make you not feel too good if you were old Christine.
Agreed. So Christine sings to her daughter, and who knew Bethany Joy Lenz can actually carry a tune? This was quite lovely, I thought. And here we go.
She's a singer. She performs in Nashville sometime, which we need to go see her.
We absolutely should. And here we go. While she's having this tender moment, ex-husband shows up. He is a jerk to her and threatens to involve family services over this fall, and he is a tool, period. I write in my notes. Judy happens to be strolling in the hospital a bit later, and she happens upon Christine's daughter. They chat about the fun of doing things that'll get you just a little bit in trouble. Judy is a stitch. She's a character. I love her.
Yes,
she is wearing...
Judy, did you recognize Judy?
Yes, I did recognize Judy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Judy was the mom in Very Merry Mix-Up, the last ep we recorded. If you haven't listened, go listen and watch. Yeah. And she's the one that was in charge of making sure that the people from that car wreck didn't fall asleep and have amnesia or a concussion, and she was the worst at it. She's terrible. Did a terrible job.
Terrible at it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, Judy is wearing Christine's locket because that locket came in with her belongings following the crash. Christine lost it at the crash site while she was doing, aggressive CPR. And she agrees to give that locket to Christine's daughter, but only if she agrees to give it to someone who needs help to sort of pass it along. Jason runs into Christine and they agree on a coffee date redo. Yay. Betty is telling Christine about her son, Dennis, who died in a tragic accident. And it's becoming clear to me where this is going, and my cry count is now at 1.
Ding.
Ding. Christine picks up her daughter from the hospital and spots the locket. She gives it to Christine and has this tender moment where she tells her mom, I know that you need a little bit of help right now. And my cry count is now at 2.
Ding, ding.
Jason is sent to deliver presents to the daycare where Christine's kids just got a placement and a scholarship thanks to Betty. And Clutch, which is Jason's baseball nickname, takes Zach out for a little bit of catch and life advice about homework. He is just heart of gold through and through. Jason winds up, however, not being able to make his lunch date with Christine because he has a big city interview. I was a little bit sad that took a turn that way. Christine and the kids deck the halls back at the house, but things take a sad turn when she decides she needs to have a heart-to-heart with them just to basically say, hey, there's a chance that Santa might not be coming through this year because we all know things are a little tight for Christine, and it's just
inflation, right?
Inflation. It was just a really sad scene, I thought. Anyway, things are a bit happier back at the shop where Jason helps spruce up the place. He's sort of running the thing because that's what Judy wanted him to do. He's back from the city, and he says, the city's not for me. My heart is here. I want to run the family business. My cry count is now at 3. Christine's ex-husband, this is where things really start to get dramatic.
It's all the rails.
Oh my gosh. Christine's ex-husband, out of nowhere, just decides to show up and pick up the kids at this daycare. How he knew that they were at this daycare, that's never addressed, but stick with me here. Thankfully, Jason is there. He's hanging out with Zach, doing the whole thing, dropping off presents, and he swoops in as protector. So we get to see Jason not just as someone who's supporting Christine, but someone who's now protecting these kids. And this is where we get the formal meet cute well into this movie, in the middle of this mess, as they start connecting all of the dots. Cry count now at 4. Thank you very much. He smooches her, but there are 20 minutes left in this movie, and I start to get really nervous. I don't know if you had the same experience. I was like,
it's front-loaded heavy in this movie.
Front-loaded, yes.
And they put all the action on the front. It's like they made it for a certain amount of time, and then they're like, no, these movies are actually supposed to be this long. Like,
yeah.
Oh, right.
Let's add some more stuff.
More baseball scenes.
Yeah.
Let's get them throwing baseball more on a Christmas movie.
The shop sends over gifts galore. The doll Christine's daughter wanted, along with a wad, and I do mean wad of cash. Like, we get an envelope, and they're like fanning out $100 bills, and I thought, my goodness, this is very generous of you. Christine the next day goes to the shop, and she and Judy meet and embrace. My cry count is now at 5. She Christine unpacks it all with Betty. You know, they're just sitting at Betty's bakery, and they're just sort of chitter-chattering about all of this stuff that's transpired in the past 24, 48 hours. And then Betty happens to spot the locket necklace that Christine is wearing. And the thing that you didn't really know throughout this whole thing is that the locket was actually locked. Like, the key, she didn't have a key for it. Turns out Betty pulls out, and she is wearing the key for Christine's locket. And we learn that Betty is, in fact, Christine's grandmother. I mean,
did you see it coming?
I saw it coming, but I was still, when it happened in the moment, because when we started hearing about Dennis and that Christine didn't know her dad's real name, all of that, I was like, I think this is where they're going to go with it. But even knowing that this is where they were going to go with it, it was still the most satisfying of scenes, because the key was a nice touch that unlocked Christine's locket.
The reveal was really well done.
The reveal was really well done, and my cry count is now at 6. So it is
now.
I blubbered through this entire thing. It's now time to wrap things up, and we are back at Christine's house celebrating the holiday, opening presents as one big, happy, miracle-laden family, recounting the power of love, family, and soon enough, we are panning up to the North Star one last time as we finally fade to black.
Okay, it is time for our gold or coal segment. And if you're new to the pod, Josh and I each bring 3 gifts or things we, thoughts we had about the movie. If there's more gold, it's a warm cinnamon roll. If there's more coal, it's a sad stale cookie. And if it's a tie, it's just a Merry Christmas. Josh, I'm coming to you first.
I got to give gold for Bethany Joy Lenz. I mean, this role was a toughie. It had range and drama, and she really had to sort of go to some places that a lot of these actresses don't have to go in Hallmark movies, and I thought she knocked it out of the park. She was very believable as a struggling single mother who needed hope and needed something at the holiday season and found it, and I thought she just really did a great job in this role.
Yeah, she walked the line of, like, you wanted her to have a win, but she didn't come across desperate and sad. Like, you feel sad for her, but she wasn't sad. She was still, like I said, trying to move forward and, make a plan for her family and show how much she loves them and all that stuff. So, yeah, I would agree. She's great. I am going to give gold for all of the characters and how they were intertwined, all the little stories, all the oopsie doodles, all the overlapping, all the Dennis of it all, and the lockets. Loved it all.
Yeah. I really liked the way this story was constructed, and I liked how this movie was paced too. It felt well sprinkled throughout. I'm also going to give gold for the Betty subplot. I thought that character, the actress who played her, was super believable. I like that she was a little quirky, a little eccentric, and big on her love, and really just, I think, added a lot of heart and a lot of warmth to this thing throughout. Because this movie could have felt really heavy, but I think that there were enough of these sort of light moments, and in particular Betty's character was a light character that kind of softened everything up in a way that made it, I think, a little bit more Hallmarky.
I agree. Betty's the best. Let's all be more like Betty this
Please,
season. Or
be more Betty.
always. Be more like Betty. What would Betty do? I'm going to give some gold for Zach and Haley, the kid actors. I thought they were really sweet, even though when they're flinging themselves off of only 8 feet of, height. I thought they were just like, they weren't written too loud and crazy. Like, they had adult conversations, which we don't always see in these movies. And you hate that for them because they've seen some stuff. But I thought they were really sweet and lovable. So I'm going to give them some gold.
Absolutely. And then my last gift is going to be gold. I liked the chemistry between Christine and Jason throughout. I like that she initially was leery of him, not just from the sense of I don't know you, but I think you're actually trying to dig up dirt on me. And she had to work through that before they sort of fell in love. And I liked that they gave him the opportunity to not just be there and be endearing, but to also do this like protector thing toward the end of the movie. I think that clearly
not just to win her over, but just out of the goodness of his heart. Yeah,
not just to win her over, but at the same time he had to sort of man up a little bit and protect her kids. And I thought that was just really well done, and I liked them as a couple. So gold for me.
There you go. I am gonna give one piece of coal. I'm sorry. They all sound so depressed and monotone the whole time. And I get it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff happening, and not a lot of it's jolly in this movie, so I understand the overall tone, but it was very much a lot of this. And I guess because it's called The Christmas Secret, they were trying to whisper secrets in each other's ears. I mean, it was very flat, like, from an audio standpoint to me.
Yeah. So, final score 5-1. Still a great movie. We're going to call it Cinnamon Roll. Although, I got to wonder, why was this movie called The Christmas Secret? Like, what exactly was the secret here?
I guess the secret is Betty and the Betty-Christine connection.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's all I can... Because the cover art is her, as Bethany Joy Lenz, like, holding the locket and kind of looking down, and then he's behind her, like, looking at her, which honestly, I used to judge the movies by the cover, and I would always see this every year, and I'd be like, no, that looks lame, because I thought it was just, like, the secret of where the locket came from or something, because there have been movies like that. This is so much more than that. So the synopsis and the cover art have done it a terrible disservice. Please check it out. But in the end, I guess she gets to keep the kids, right? Or is she going to have to go to court with this loser?
Well, no. Remember, family services lady at the daycare was like, there's no chance he's getting his kids back after all of this because of
he showed himself.
His aggressive gesture at the daycare where he fully came off the rails and caused a dramatic scene.
Yeah, he needs help.
He needs help
for sure.
He is angry. Anger management, please. Yes. So 5-1 bottom line. We liked this one a lot. This is a good watch. Definitely not light fare. A little on the heavy.
No, you got to be in a good headspace. It's not a wrapping paper movie. You're not wrapping presents. No. But it's really, really well done.
Yeah, this is definitely like quiet evening, warm cup of cocoa, your loved one, just kind of having all of the feels together, not being afraid to maybe shed a tear or 6 if you're me.
I do think I cried the first time I saw it. I did not cry 6 times probably, but maybe once. I at least would have teared up at the Betty Christine locket moment at the end, I think.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So good. And that, friends, is another episode of Do You Watch What I Watch?
Special thanks, of course, to Nick Schwartz for our amazing theme song and to all of you for taking the time to listen to us on your podcasting platforms or watch us on our YouTube channel.
Hey, if you like our podcast, be sure to review, subscribe, tell a friend. We're on Facebook and Instagram, so give us a follow over there and you leave a comment. We'll leave a comment back where we check our messages regularly. You can also follow and connect with us on our website at doyouwatchwhatiwatch.com. Next time, we are back with number 6 in our 12 Pods of Christmas series. And boy, you guys love this movie. And I've never seen it. Have you, Josh?
No, I've not.
We are going to talk about Crown for Christmas with Danica McKellar. Some may say it's the number 1 Hallmark movie of all time. We'll be the judge of that. So here's the plot summary. After getting fired from her job as a maid at a ritzy New York City hotel, Allie reluctantly accepts a temporary gig as the governess to a young girl who is part of a powerful family in Europe that lives in a castle. Sure. Well, I can't wait to dive into it. There's a lot there. They air it constantly. If you want to watch along, I'm pretty sure either it just aired or it's airing soon as of this recording on Christmas in July is going on over at Hallmark or Friendly, however you get your movies. Check it out so you can watch it along with us. Listen to us chat about it next time. It'll be fun.
Yeah, as you can imagine, we will have much to discuss. And until then,
may your days be merry and bright. We'll see you next time.